In our Sunrise Smart Start, a Russian assault on Ukraine continues as invading soldiers advance towards the capital city of Kyiv. President Biden and other world leaders levying further sanctions against Russia amid the continued attacks.
Let's go live to Washington, D.C. Correspondent Basil John joining us once again this morning. Basil, obviously a lot going on here, a lot happening in the moment. What about these economic penalties? What's included there in this latest round of sanctions?
Well, Mark, Ali, good morning. And yes, when it comes to these latest sanctions that President Joe Biden announced yesterday, the main one is obviously the block of exports on technology. So the reason for that, President Joe Biden said, was that it would help stifle Russia's development of their military. It would also prevent development when it comes to aerospace as well. So that involves air travel and also any explorations that Russia tries to make towards space. The other sanction is towards any of those billionaires and families that are incredibly close to the Kremlin and to Putin.
And Basil, we're watching Ukraine closely, obviously. Can we expect U.S. troops to be deployed to Ukraine at this time?
President Biden did say that about 7,000 troops were being deployed from the U.S. to aid NATO allies, but they are not going to go to fight in Ukraine. He was very adamant that that would not be happening. We actually had the Ukrainian ambassador who said that, you know, their people will be the ones who fight. They just need support from their allies, whether it be from the U.S. and Europe, providing the materials that are necessary so that the Ukrainian people can actually fight. But in terms of U.S. troops doing battle in Ukraine, right now there is no plan for that from the president.
All right, Basil, thank you for joining us this morning and for all that information. This morning, President Biden will be meeting virtually with other NATO leaders to discuss the situation in Ukraine and what other measures they could take.
Local Ukrainians are holding a meeting as well, holding meetings yesterday to figure out how to support their homeland. Community members asking for help donating to Ukrainian causes and voicing concern as well for their family members who are there.
I don't have connection to them for about 12 hours, and it's been crazy. It's mentally difficult for everybody. And how can you imagine that somebody will come into your home and we will kill you because you are speaking Ukrainian language?
We want to do a lot of fundraising and talking to local and state and national politicians to make sure that everything is done from a political standpoint as much as possible to help the Ukrainians out there.
The Ukrainian Cultural Center does expect to have rallies and public fundraisers supporting those who are stranded in Eastern Europe. For more reaction from local Ukrainians and the very latest on the Russian invasion, check out CBS Mornings at the top of the hour, and of course head to rochesterfirst.com.
The big story we're following here locally in Rochester, the Rochester area, James, of course, the snow out there this morning.
Yeah, snow continuing to fall. We saw that big burst earlier this morning that put a couple inches on the ground. It is still snowing across the region. Radar and satellite not telling the whole picture as we still see light flakes. A lot of our traffic cameras full of snow. In fact, a lot of our traffic cameras are covered in ice. Could barely even see through the camera because of that snowfall. We're getting more on the back edge of this storm system as it moves through the area. Here's the 3-hour loop of that burst that I mentioned, and then more snow building in behind it. We're going to deal with this all morning long to get a better picture of exactly what is going on out there. We've got team coverage here with our Erica DeCoste out in the elements. Erica, how is it looking in your location right now?
Well, James, looking a lot better than earlier this morning. And while we may be over the worst of it, as we had mentioned earlier, that there's been a lot of accidents, really. So it is troublesome to be on certain parts of the road. This is Winton Road, looking a lot better than earlier, but some side streets that I can see in my viewpoint are a lot worse than what those main roads are going to look like. So turned into pretty much just a slush right now. A lot more snow accumulation earlier this morning, around 5 6 a.m., but we're seeing that starting to clear up. The visibility is no longer an issue like it was earlier. The sun has come up, so you should be fine in terms of seeing when you're driving, but just make sure you're taking it slow. There are more plows out as well, more cars out as well. I know a lot of students are on break right now, so there's still traffic though, so people are getting out the door. The best time, James is telling me, around 8 and 9 if you want to hold off on any morning plans you have. Should be clearing up a lot more in the coming hours. So for now, I'll send it back to you in the studio.
All right, Erica, thank you for all the live reports this morning. And for a live look at the forecast any time of day, you can download the News 8 app right to your smartphone.
Well, let's get another look at the roads with our sunrise traffic. As James mentioned, some of these cameras really do show the story. Take a good look at 390. If you're wondering if the snow is having an impact this morning, Exhibit A right here. Crawling 390 south right there, and not doing much better 390 north as well, I might add. There is an accident at Scottsville Road, not too far from that view. The left lane is closed. An accident on the thruway as well, Canandaigua, between exits 44 and 43. That's the Manchester-Shortsville exit. 590 north at Monroe Avenue as well. So pretty much across the area, feeling the impacts of this snow at this hour. All right, in other news, Rochester police investigating after a man was found shot on North Clinton Avenue. Officers responding around 10 o'clock last night. They found a 48-year-old with a gunshot wound to the lower body. He was taken to the hospital and treated for non-life-threatening injuries. Police say the victim here was actually shot on Avenue D. No suspects are in custody.
Also new this morning, Rochester police investigating a home invasion on Colvin Street. It happened around 1 a.m. Investigators say at least one armed suspect entered the house demanding property. Police say a gun was fired, but nobody was injured and no suspects are in custody. Anyone with information is asked to call 911.
The Pines of Parenton apartment complex is facing compliance orders from Parenton officials if potential code violations there are not addressed. A January fire destroyed 18 of the apartments and displaced 60 people. Remaining residents voiced a number of concerns this week when lawmakers toured the property. A Pines of Parenton spokesperson says management did receive a notice from the town last week, giving them 1 week to come up with a plan of action to address potential violations. The Pine says it has given the town that required plan.
Turning now to the latest on COVID-19. According to the Associated Press, the Biden administration is expected to significantly ease indoor masking guidelines today. The change comes as new COVID cases are continuing to decline. The CDC is expected to announce a change in the way the agency measures COVID transmission rates. The new metrics will still consider caseloads, but also take into account hospitalizations and local hospital capacity.
President Biden's pick for the Supreme Court could come as early as next week. Rumored to be in the running, D.C. Federal Appeals Court Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, California Supreme Court Justice Leandra Kruger, and South Carolina Federal District Court Judge Michelle Childs. The president has said he will nominate the first black woman to sit on the high court.
I think any of them would be a huge bonus to the court. I think they all have their unique benefits. I think it also means a lot in terms of finally having our voices heard on the court, where it's never been heard before.
Well, that nominee will replace retiring Justice Stephen Breyer, who is expected to remain on the bench until June.
One person is dead and 6 others injured after a car drove into a Miami Beach restaurant. According to police, an elderly woman was trying to parallel park when she accidentally accelerated onto the outdoor cafe area of the restaurant. Now 7 people were taken to the hospital where 1 victim was pronounced dead. Charges in this fatal crash have not been announced.
Well, this one might have folks talking about some stuff at the water cooler this morning. The Bills might be coming back to St. John Fisher after all for training camp. Multiple sources telling News 8 the team officials are optimistic, very optimistic, they will return after a 2-year hiatus. A formal agreement has not been reached. I want to clarify that. Talks between Fisher and the Bills are planned for next week, so stay tuned. Could be seeing Josh Allen and company at Fisher this summer. That'd be great.
Wouldn't that be fun? I could use some summer sunshine right now, James, if you could.
Add some of that warmth as well.
Magic.
I mentioned that yesterday. Whenever we show video of the summer, you're just like, that looks nice. Well, we're still dreaming, as today we've got the opposite. Snowfall. We're still expecting about a ½ foot across most of the region. We've got light snow now, picks up a little bit as we get later this morning and into the early afternoon, and then it it sticks around because we've got colder air. Saturday and Sunday, both days likely stay below freezing. I got a little bit of sun in there for Saturday. Should be a decent weekend overall. Monday, looking a little bit cooler. Then we'll actually turn a little bit warmer. We'll see some melting by the middle of next week. Hey, we've got some accidents on roadways. We've got slow commutes, snow-covered roads as well, which we'll continue to cover later this morning. Mark, Allie.
All right, James, thank you. And thank you so much for watching News 8 at Sunrise.
Our next update is coming up in about 30 minutes. CBS Mornings is straight ahead at the top of the hour. The very latest from Ukraine and more. Have a great day.